Hey everyone, Vivi Rizzo here once more. Now, as I've been spotlighting some of my personal favorites this month, it occurs to me that this is a good opportunity to highlight some movies that are not as obvious of going to be on this list. I mean, so far I've done some pretty widely known movies. I mean, The Final Girls isn't the biggest movie, but it's not an unknown film either. Rodan is, well, one of the most iconic kaiju movies out there. And Sinister, it's a pretty well known franchise at this point, with one sequel and a lot of attention. And looking through my list this month of movies that I might spotlight, I haven't set any of them in stone yet. Most of them are popular, well received, and a lot has already been talked about them. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to at least hit a couple that are a little less talked about. Now, this movie that I did today is not an unknown film and has gotten a little bit of attention, but outside of horror subreddits or a few people looking for more obscure movies, it doesn't get too much attention. And I had actually never heard of it before I'd seen it about half a year ago when I was doing one of my dollar store peeks. And grabbed a bunch of movies for, well, a dollar each, and this was one of them. And I had never heard of it and knew nothing about it going in, and oh boy, was I pleasantly surprised by Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. Now, this movie, it's a film out of South Korea, and whew, I don't know what sort of budget this one has. It doesn't seem to have the biggest one, but it makes it count with what it does. Now, for a little background, Gonjiam itself is an actual asylum in South Korea that is reported to be haunted. CNN has actually listed it on its 10 scariest places in the world, and they actually do bring that up in this movie. Essentially, this one's about a team of ghost hunters or online streamers that are trying to catch the next big thing in their horror show by doing a live stream out of Gonjiam. So they do go into the kind of history of the building. I don't know how much of the history is accurate, but I believe most of it's at least relatively correct to what is said about it. And essentially, the main people who do the show have recruited several guests to come along with them to get a wider variety of reactions. And essentially, they're going to go in after midnight and spend a couple hours live going over the hot spots and trying to break into a room that's been sealed since the asylum closed and no one's been able to go into. And well, anyone who's tried usually goes missing, commits suicide, or well, goes insane. Whew. Just finished this one a few minutes ago, and it's an intense ride. Now, it's a found footage film, primarily done through either their stream site or they use several GoPros and face cams to catch reactions and whatnot. Mix it with a few instant replays, as one of the characters is actually editing and putting up some of the stuff to make the to have some elements during the live show. So it's not, well, not exactly editing, but doing a few replays or a few highlights throughout it. Now, the movie, pacing wise, is then works pretty well overall. Now, the beginning that shows the group meeting and coming together, getting to know each other a little bit, and doing some fun bonding activities. So it starts relatively light, and then as it gets into the asylum, it's most of them kind of having fun at the asylum, just viewing a few things here or there. Now, it's mostly doing this kind of slow escalation. It doesn't go too much until, well, the floor just suddenly drops out from under you, and it goes from 0 to 100 in a heartbeat, and when it does, it goes all out. Now, it's revealed pretty early on that most of the horror events that they're experiencing at the beginning are staged. A couple of the people of the crew are in on it and are trying to scare the others to, well, scare up reviews and they try to get a million people watching them online. And whew, but when things start happening that they didn't plan, and people start wanting to back out, the guy back at their base camp tent keeps encouraging them to keep filming. He's the most determined. He wants the money from the ads and the revenue that this broadcast is going to get them, and he does everything he can to keep them going, despite it becoming increasingly clear that they should not be here. Now, there's some very creepy imagery in this one, and when it starts kicking into high gear, the tension goes very high. It's just slowly waiting for things to happen as the camera will be lingering on a creepy image, and you just can see it slowly moving slightly, or you're just waiting for it to either jump at you or to the camera to turn and something else to be there. And it's a really white knuckle film when it gets into those scenes. This movie creeped me out pretty well. There's some of the stuff you can't really adequately describe for how some of the characters' faces will change or the hands will start coming out of nowhere. Now, despite like I said, I have no idea what the budget on this one was, but the effects are pretty good. And most of the makeup is terrifying. If I have any issue for this one, it's mostly kind of into the beginning, especially because they're using a lot of handheld instead. It's kind of an effect they have the video and the audio kind of jump and jar a little bit. At the beginning, it's kind of annoying, but when the film is going all out and it makes sense for their equipment to be failing and doing it, it doesn't do it too much at those points, but it does it just enough to highlight some of the camera problems, and it doesn't detract from the action once the action gets going. It's mostly just when they're walking to the asylum that it's the most actually jarring enough to take you out of the movie. Now, despite this one, as far as I can tell, coming out of nowhere, well, other than coming out of South Korea, and be getting it for $1, this one is actually a full 5 MacGuffin for me. I highly recommend this one, especially if you enjoy found footage or haunted location movies. This one, it's really creepy. Then the movie doesn't give you a whole lot. I don't know if the director's done much else, and I mean, this one, it's not rated. It went direct to DVD over here, and only a few places talk about it, but usually just mentioning it was a pleasant surprise, and it is. This movie needs a lot more attention, so if you get a chance, do check it out. Alrighty, so I'll probably be back to the more bigger name ones again soon enough. I'm going to try to slip a few littler ones in that are actually worthwhile, so this one is definitely worth your attention. Check it out.